Welcome, dear thinkers, philosophers, and seekers of truth. You're about to embark on a voyage into the profound and often perplexing realm of existential thought. Today, we delve into a question that has haunted humanity for eons, a question that has stirred sleepless nights and countless debates. Are we indeed living in an absurd hell? It's a chilling thought, a notion that can send shivers down the spine of the bravest souls. Here, within the confines of our discussion, we will shed light on this existential conundrum and uncover the shocking truth. We will be guided on this journey by none other than Albert Camus, the 20th century French philosopher, author, and journalist. Camus, an absurdist, painted a world devoid of inherent meaning, sense, or purpose, a world he described as absurd. Through the lens of his philosophy, we will examine whether our existence aligns with his depiction of an absurd hell. Throughout this exploration, we will dissect Camus's concept of the absurdity of life, his views on suicide as a philosophical problem, and his belief in revolt as a possible solution. In the vast expanse of human thought and philosophy, there exists an intriguing theory that we are existing in an absurd, meaningless universe, a chaotic hell made up of our own making. This is not some fevered dream of a dystopian author or the speculation of a sci-fi writer. Instead, it is the profound contemplation of Albert Camus, one of the leading figures in existentialism and absurdism. Camus, a Nobel Prize-winning French philosopher, author, and journalist, was a man of profound thought, who spent his life wrestling with the toughest questions of existence. His philosophy, known as Absurdism, has provoked debates, inspired literature, and continues to influence our understanding of life and its purpose. Today's discussion is centered around this very theory. Absurdism, in the simplest terms, is the belief that human beings exist in a purposeless, chaotic universe. According to Camus, our lives are characterized by two conflicting realities: a human tendency to seek inherent value and meaning in life, and an equally strong inability to find any such value in a purposeless, meaningless universe. This conflict, according to Camus, is what creates the absurd condition. Camus once wrote, "The only way to deal with an unfree world is to become so absolutely free that your very existence is an act of rebellion." This is the essence of his philosophy of absurdism. It is a philosophy that embraces the irrationality, meaninglessness, and randomness of the universe, and accepts it as the natural state of things. It is a philosophy that looks at the world with a sense of wonder and curiosity, rather than despair or cynicism. At the core of absurdism is a fundamental contradiction. On one hand, human beings, with our capacity for reason and our longing for clarity and understanding, are always striving to make sense of the world. We seek patterns, we create narratives, we impose order. On the other hand, the universe, as Camus sees it, is essentially chaotic and devoid of inherent meaning. The tension between these two opposing forces is what Camus refers to as the absurd, to live in an absurd world. According to Camus, is to live in a place where our deeply ingrained need for order and meaning is constantly frustrated by the universe's refusal to provide it. And yet, it is precisely in this state of perpetual tension and conflict that Camus finds a sort of freedom. In the bustling chaos of our modern society, it's not hard to see how the concept of an absurd hell might take root. We're constantly surrounded by absurdities, the endless cycle of working to live and living to work, the constant bombardment of information, the sense of existential dread that can accompany our every waking moment. All these elements are inherent to the reality we inhabit, a reality that seems to be more surreal and absurd with each passing day. The term absurd hell is an amalgamation, drawing from the philosophy of Albert Camus, and the concept of hell as a metaphor for an insufferable existence. Camus, a French philosopher, was a leading figure of the Absurdism movement, which grappled with the idea of life's inherent meaninglessness. His philosophy suggests that the universe is indifferent to us, and our search for meaning is ultimately futile. This existential perspective, combined with the social conditions of our time, leads us to the concept of absurd hell. The absurd hell in modern society is the condition of being trapped in an endless cycle of absurdity. We're surrounded by a whirlwind of social media personas, consumerism, and societal expectations. We're pressured to conform, to achieve success as defined by societal norms. In the face of the absurd, the crushing realization that life is devoid of meaning, Camus did not advocate for despair. Instead, he proposed a radical solution: revolt. This isn't a physical rebellion against some external foe, but rather a spiritual and intellectual rebellion against the absurd itself. Camus' philosophy of revolt is rooted in the idea that we should not simply accept the absurd, but consciously struggle against it. This is not a fight we can win, for the absurd is immutable. But in the act of rebelling, we affirm our existence and carve out a space for dignity and freedom within an indifferent universe. Revolt, for Camus, involves a form of defiance, a constant refusal to give in to the absurd, a refusal to be reduced to silence and inaction. It involves a steadfast commitment to live passionately and authentically, despite knowing that life is devoid of inherent meaning. In his essay, The Myth of Sisyphus, Camus uses the Greek myth as a metaphor for the human condition. Sisyphus, punished by the gods, is condemned to eternally roll a boulder up a hill, only to have it roll back down each time he nears the top. In our exploration of Camus' philosophy, we have journeyed through his vivid imagery of a world without inherent meaning, a universe that remains indifferent to human suffering, and the absurdity that arises from this conflict between our longing for meaning and the indifferent cosmos. Camus presents us with a shocking truth, one that many may interpret as a figurative hell, a world where our existence seems futile, our efforts meaningless. However, Camus did not intend for this revelation to lead us to despair. Instead, he invites us to embrace this absurdity as a liberation, a call to create our own meaning and purpose. He challenges us to confront the uncomfortable truth, to stare into the abyss of absurdity and not blink. To Camus, the realization of life's inherent meaninglessness is not a source of nihilism, but rather an opportunity for freedom and authenticity.